Jack decided to go camping in a remote forest in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. He always loved nature and the peace it brought, so he decided to escape the pressures of daily life and spend a few days in the heart of nature. With a backpack full of camping gear and a gun for protection, Jack headed into the forest. He set up his tent and lit a fire to keep warm. The cold winter air and the absolute silence of the forest brought him a sense of peace and isolation. After a long day of hiking and exploring the forest, Jack returned to his camp and decided to prepare his dinner. He roasted some meat over the fire and ate with delight. Everything was calm and quiet until he heard the rustling of leaves in the distance. Jack thought it might be an animal moving around, but the sound of footsteps grew closer and closer. He anxiously looked around and suddenly saw a large, frightening shadow approaching his tent. Jack, filled with fear, took refuge inside his tent and readied his gun. The footsteps stopped and the shadow disappeared. Jack stayed awake all night, listening intently, but heard nothing else. As each moment passed, he grew more anxious. When morning came, he packed up his tent and quickly left the forest. However, he never understood what had approached his tent that night, and this terrifying experience remained etched in his memory. On the second day, Jack decided to go deeper into the forest to find a new camping spot instead of returning home. He hoped this new experience would help him find more peace. He set up his tent near a river and decided to do some fishing. While fishing, he again heard the sound of approaching footsteps. This time, the footsteps came quickly and Jack looked around nervously. He saw an unknown man walking towards him, a man with torn clothes and a worried, anxious expression. Jack, filled with fear, ran towards his tent. The unknown man followed Jack, getting closer. Jack reached his tent and grabbed his gun. He looked at the unknown man with anxiety and asked, "What do you want?" The man, with a trembling voice, said, "I'm lost. Please help me." Jack, feeling a bit calmer, decided to help the man. He offered him food and water and invited him into his tent. The man told Jack that he had been lost in the forest for days and couldn't find his way back. Jack decided to help him find his way out of the forest. The next morning, Jack and the unknown man set out to find the exit of the forest. However, as they walked, the forest seemed to grow larger and more complex. Jack began to feel that something was wrong and grew suspicious of the man. He asked, "Are you really lost?" The man laughed in a terrifying, loud voice and said, "No, I'm not lost. I brought you here." Jack, filled with fear and panic, realized he had fallen into a trap. He quickly readied his gun and attacked the man. The unknown man resisted with great strength, and Jack struggled to defeat him. With all his strength, Jack ran towards the forest exit and finally managed to escape. He never understood the unknown man's true intentions, but this terrifying experience remained forever in his memory.